In this video, I'm going to show some examples of word problems that involve adding and subtracting mixed numbers. Question 1 says, in gym class, a student ran 5 and 13/16 miles in 1 week. The next week, she ran 4 and 3/10 miles. How many miles did she run in gym class in those 2 weeks? We are just wanting to know a total number of miles that this student ran, which means we're going to combine the two amounts. So we have 5 and 13/16 1 week and 4 and 3/10 the next week. And we're going to add those two totals together. First thing we need to do is find a common denominator for 16 and 10. And because I don't know all of my 16s, I'm just going to multiply 16 times 10 and get 160 as a common denominator, which may mean I have to do some simplifying at the end. 16 goes into 160 10 times. 13 times 10 is 130. And then I can multiply this fraction by 16 over 16. 3/16 is 48. When I combine 130 and 48, I get 178 over 160. That is an improper fraction. So I'm going to divide to change it to a mixed number. 160 goes into 178 one time with 18 leftovers. And those leftovers are called 160ths. I'm going to go ahead and simplify this entire mixed number before I even add back the rest of my whole numbers. So I have 1 and 18 over 160. And I know that 18 and 160 are both even, so I'm going to divide by 2 over 2. That will give me 9 over 80. Now I'm ready to add all of my whole numbers, so I have 5 plus 4 plus the 1 right here, which gives me 10, and then the 9/80ths. Altogether then, this student ran 10 and 9/80ths miles. Question 2 says, on a recent trip, a car used 28 and 1/10 gallons of fuel one day and 24 and 1/4 gallons of fuel the next day. How many more gallons did the car use on the first day? We are wanting to find out how far apart those two numbers are to find out how many more one of them is than the other. That means it is a subtraction problem. So I'm going to start with my larger number, 28 and 1/10, and subtract the smaller number, 24 and 1/4, to find their distance apart. I am going to divide my place values because I might have to do some regrouping. A common denominator for 10 and 4, I'm going to count by tens, and I get 20 is a common multiple of 10 and 4. 10 goes into 20 twice. So 1/10 times 2 over 2 is 2/20ths. 1/4 times 5 over 5 gives me 5/20ths. Now, if I try to subtract 2/20ths minus 5/20ths, I will get a negative number. So I am going to have to do some regrouping. If I take 1 away from 28, I get 27. But I'm going to move that one whole that I just took away, and I'm going to add that one whole back into the fraction column. It's going to take the name of the fraction, 20ths, but it will be equal to one whole, 20/20ths. Now, all together right here, I have 22/20ths. And now I can subtract. 22/20ths minus 5/20ths is 17/20ths, and 27 minus 24 is 3. So how many more gallons did the car use on the first day? It used 3 and 17/20ths more gallons. Question 3 says, a group of people at the entrance to a park see a sign that shows 2 routes to an old cabin. The direct route is 3/10 of a mile long, and the other route is 2 1/8 of a mile long, and goes around a lake before reaching the cabin. How much farther to the cabin is the lake route than the direct route? We're trying to find out how far apart two numbers are, which is subtraction. I'm going to take 2 1/8 and subtract 3/10. And I'm going to divide place values in case I have to do regrouping, which it looks like I'm probably going to. Common denominator for 8 and 10, count by tens, 10, 20, 30, and 40. 8 goes into 40. So common denominator will be 40. 8 goes into 45 times. 1/8 times 5 over 5 is 5/40. 10 goes into 44 times. 3/10 times 4 over 4 is 12/40. And yes, I am going to have to regroup. 5/40 minus 12/40 will be a negative number, so I'm going to take 1 away, but I'm going to bring that 1 whole back over to the fraction column, and it will be 40/40. All together now, I have 45/40. So 45/40 minus 12/40 is 33/40, and then 1 minus nothing is 1. So to answer the question, how much farther to the cabin is the lake route than the direct route? It is 1 33/40 miles farther. Question 4, at first glance, looks similar, but it's a little bit different of a problem. It says a group of people at a parking lot at an entrance to a park see a sign that shows 2 routes to an old cabin. The direct route is 5/6 of a mile long, and the other route is 1 3/8 miles long and goes around a lake before reaching the cabin. They decide to take the direct route to the cabin and then follow the lake route back to the parking lot. How far do they walk? So unlike the previous, we were trying to compare 2 numbers and find out how far apart the 2 numbers were. In this case, we're walking one route and then also walking the other route, which means we are combining the 2 numbers, which is addition. So I'm taking 5/6 of a mile and I'm adding to it 1 3/8 of a mile. I need to find a common denominator for 6 and 8. If I count by 8s, 8 and then 16 and then 24. 24 is a multiple of both 6 and 8. 6 goes into 24 4 times. So 5/6 times 4/4 is 20 24s. 8 goes into 24 3 times. 3/8 times 3 over 3 is 9 24s. Combining those 2 fractions, 20 24ths and 9 24ths, is 29 24ths. But that is an improper fraction. Change it to a mixed number and we get 1 5 24ths. I want to make sure that I don't forget to combine that with the 1 mile right here that I also walked. So if I add that all up, I get 2 5 24ths miles.